Hi Bookish Babes, welcome back to my channel. My name's Marissa, and today we're going to talk about the 25 books that I would like to read in 2025 from my physical TBR. Start off the video, I'm going to start with two historical fictions. I also want to preface this by saying that I hope to get to all of these for 2025. I don't know if I will, but I'm also starting a lot of series, and I only have 5 or 6 series that I'm in the middle of right now, so this will be very interesting. First off, Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I have watched this series on TV on Stars for quite a while now, and I have wanted to read it also as long as I've started the series because I just love Outlander. It's probably my top TV series in ever. So I really want to start reading this series to see if it lives up to the hype of the TV series. Second up, Bridgerton. Well, the first, The Duke and I, by Julia Quinn. I've also watched this TV series. I know it's not completed, but I've heard that the historical fiction or the Regency era series is just as good, if not better. So I cannot wait to get to this. I also have quite a few mysteries on my list this year. I have a whole bookshelf just for thrillers and mysteries because I buy them at used bookstores way too much because they're very enticing. However, it doesn't mean that I actually know what any of these are about. So, we're going to start off with The Missing One by Patricia Gibney. This one I got from one of my fiance's cousins. They were doing a yard sale, and I was asked if I wanted to have any of them. This one seemed very interesting to me, so I ended up asking her to bring this up for me. So, I actually don't know what this is about, but I do know that it's another series, of course. Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. This one I do know is a Reese's Book Club, and I do know a little bit about it. I know her son unalives somebody, and when he does that, she sees it, but she doesn't understand why he did it or understand why, as her son, the way he's been, has would ever do something like this. So it goes back in time with her trying to really unravel everything and see what comes about to make her son actually do this heinous crime. Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This is actually a young adult mystery. I know that it comes from a cold case, and she is in school, the main character, trying to solve this cold case from many years ago, where the cold case killer ends up coming back while she's trying to solve it. This is also a series. I'm just really hitting it on the head with these series this year. Another young adult is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I have had this trilogy for quite a while now, but I still haven't picked it up. And all of the people I know have read this series. So I know that it has to do with a lot of riddles and inheritance of money, but stipulations, as well as a love triangle. That's as much as I know about this, but another trilogy to get started on my list that also has spin offs. The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I know a tiny bit about this because one of my besties, Kylie, she is invested in Riley Sager books. But I also know from what I've heard that this follows somewhat similar to the Lizzie Borden axe murder case. And I enjoy haunted stuff. I watch a lot of haunted YouTube videos, and I do know a little bit about that case. So I'm so interested to see what actually comes about with this book. The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I don't know a thing about this. One of my coworkers, Danny, she mentioned that she loves these authors for thriller novels, and she is a die-hard thriller fan. So that wasn't hard for me. I also got this from my fiance's cousin from their yard sale, and I'm excited to have it. I hope I really enjoy it. I don't know if I'll read it or listen to the audiobook of this because I heard that's also very good. But The Wife Between Us. And The Locked Door by Frida McFadden. If you don't know who Frida McFadden is at this point, I'd be surprised. I have a few of her books, and the only one I've read has been The Housemaid, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite book. However, she's very good with twists and turns, and because she is a psychologist or she's gone to school for that, Frida did. It's easy to get caught up in the psychological part of these thrillers. So I'm excited to see what this one entails. And last but not least for the thrillers, I have Watching You by Lisa Jewell. This one would be my first Lisa Jewell book. I have no clue what it's about. Picked this up at a used bookstore, but I do have two of her books. Then She Was Gone and this one, Watching You. So I don't even know what I'm getting myself into. Next up, I'm going to talk about my romance books. Some of these are romance and romance fiction or women's fiction, so bear with me. I'm not sure which is in each section sometimes. I know the backs will say romance or fiction, but sometimes they fall into very similar categories. So, to start off, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This would be my first Emily Henry book. I know that this is between a literary agent, a romance between a literary agent and an editor. But as for Emily Henry, I don't even know what I'm getting myself into. I've heard great things. I've heard she compares to Taylor Jenkins Reid, and Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my favorite authors. So if that's the case, I think I'm going to enjoy Emily Henry. Ruby Dixon's Whiskey Year by Rochelle Below. She goes to Scotland, the Scottish Highlands, to write a best selling cookbook. And he is a local handyman. So, can you get any better than that? Since I love Outlander, I wanted to pick this up because it takes place in the Scottish Highlands. And I am so excited to see what happens with this book. And I mean, just look at the cover. Is it not the cutest thing ever? Ugh. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This book will be, again, the first of an Abby Jimenez book that I read. I've heard a few of my friends have read her books and have enjoyed them. But what really gravitated me towards picking this book to put on my shelf was the fact that she is older and he is the younger one for an age gap. Plus, I've heard a lot of people enjoy Abby Jimenez and this series, and I really want to get to the third one and the new one that's coming out this year. So I guess I should get on my high horse and start reading this book. A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. This one is a young adult fiction novel. I know there's a tiny bit of romance, I believe, in this, but I also know a lot of people cry. And that's what made me pick this book up. It sounds so bad, but I love when a book can really get into your emotions and feelings. And this one, if that many people are crying, how can you not pick it up? It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This is another author that a few of my besties have read, and they say it's spicy and just a good time. So I really want to get into this one. I want to see what the hype is with Tessa Bailey because I've heard that some of her books aren't as good as others, but I have this one and I've lent it out for other people before I even read it myself. So I've had this on my shelf for quite a bit. Truly, Madly, Deeply. I bought this out in Oklahoma when my besties and I went out to see my best friend Emily. We also went out to an ACOTAR ball out in Colorado. So when we did that, myself and one other friend, stayed at Emily's place in Oklahoma. And I had to pick this up. I wanted to buy a couple books from independent bookstores, and this one just looks so cute. It's a podcaster and a co-star podcaster, and one is always believing in happily ever afters, and the other one is a divorce lawyer. So he's pretty cynical in what love really entails. And this cover is probably one of my favorite covers on my bookshelf. I just think it's so pretty, and I love purple. Purple is one of my favorite colors. Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. My mom loves Mia Sheridan. I have a couple more books on my shelves that I've borrowed from my mom. And we actually picked this for a different book club I'm in person. And I wasn't able to read it this year because I was traveling to Canada and I wasn't going to be at the book club that day. So I really want to get to this because I hate not accomplishing my goals, and one of those would have been to read every single book in 2024 to meet with everybody for my book club. So this is on my priority list. And the last romance I have is Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen. This is an arc. My bestie Emily, who lives out in Oklahoma, she's a librarian, and she gifted this to me because I read Electric Idol, and that was my first curvy girl romance. And I could not get enough of the curvy girl because if you can't tell, I am curvy myself. And I just want to see more of that representation in books. So if you guys have any suggestions on that, let me know. But I'm so excited. This goes with Aaliyah. She is on a dating app and she wants to find a boyfriend before her 30th birthday. But she finds that there's quite a few people who catfish, as well as people who have a lot of fetishes when it comes to curvy women. So I'm so interested to see what this has in store. And this color and cover is also so gorgeous. I just can't wait. For the last books that I have on my 25 of 2025, these will be between like dark romance and my fantasy romance together because to me they're all in the same. I love a good fantasy romance and I really like a good dark romance. So here's the first one, Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. She has another series, the Four Horsemen series. Pestilence is one of the Four Horsemen, and he goes to take Sarah and kidnap her, and or he's supposed to unalive her, but I believe they fall in love. So there's that. This one, I'm assuming there's only 4 books. I hope there's only 4 books, but Pestilence is the first, and then you have War, Famine, and Death. So if there's another book off of that, you guys will have to let me know. But this one's the first one. Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. If you don't know what this is, you're not on the reading of dark romance for Book Talk or BookTube or any of that. But my fiance decided to send me a TikTok one time, and I read it, listened to it, and I just downloaded the book immediately. So I do have this on my Kindle Unlimited that was in my library before it was traditionally published. And I've heard it's really great on audiobook. So I might pick this up as immersive reading and I'll have to take you guys through that whole experience. Hexed by Emily McIntyre. I am probably the most excited about this book on my whole entire 25 books of 2025 because it's the last of the Never After novels. She wrote this book while she was undergoing chemotherapy for breast cancer. And this is the thickest book of the series. It's a Little Mermaid reimagining. She really says it's a reimagining, not a retelling. So I cannot wait to really read this and see the fact that neither of them are good characters or not neither of them have good character and they both end up together. There's 4 books left. So Mountain Made of Glass by Scarlett St. Clair. This is the first in another series. I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy or more than one, but I bought this out in Oklahoma with my bestie Emily and my bestie Kylie because Scarlett St. Clair is from Oklahoma. So I figured I needed to get a book from an author that resides in Oklahoma when I went out there. This one is a little fantasy romance, and I really enjoy the fact that it's short. So this will be the first book I read from Scarlett St. Clair and a good introduction to any of her books and writing. The Dark King by Gina L. Maxwell. I'm not going to lie, I went to Target when I was really starting to get into reading, and I just picked this book up because it said Neon Gods, which I had read, meets 50 Shades. That's really the only thing that caught me. I do see that this is actually these are all standalones, but it is like a series. I do have the second one. I guess I'd assume that it's a standalone series then, but you can read them all as standalones. So this also has a billionaire fake king and an accidental marriage in Vegas. So I really am interested to see what this one entails. And the last two books I have are fantasy romance or romantasy books. First is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This will be the first book that I read from Carissa Broadbent. The book club I have with my book besties, actually called the Bookish Babes, we were going to read the Daughter of No World series last year, but we ended up with a few other books to read instead. So I have heard this also gives you the feelings of reading ACOTAR again. I need that. I was in a book slump from September to about December. I really need a book to really grab my attention soon. Very, very soon. And the last one is Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. This one is about the 7 deadly sins. This one just focuses on wrath for this trilogy, but I am so excited because I read Dante's Inferno in AP Literature in high school, and I really loved the thought of the 7 deadly sins or the 7 levels of hell. So I'm interested to see where the romance comes into play for this one. If you watched to the end of this video, I really appreciate it. Go ahead and put a red heart emoji and maybe a sword emoji for fantasy romance because I cannot wait to read those this year. And thank you for watching. Bye!